Hey everybody, welcome back to the vlog. Today was my lazy day of my spring break where I really didn't do much but relax, catch up on some things around the house, some just regular stuff, but I did not really do a whole lot as far as leaving the house, anything like that. So I actually had a lot of time to think today, which I normally don't get a lot of free time just to think. I decided that I wanted to talk to you guys today about something that's been on my heart and my mind for a long time. I just didn't know when the right time to share it was or where the right platform was. So since now I've got this platform on YouTube, I'm now approaching 1,000 subscribers, I wanted to talk about it with you guys. What I really wanted to talk to you guys today about is what I believe to be the real problem with education, and just to kind of open up the dialogue, because I feel like everybody's kind of afraid to say this or to talk about it. And that is that there are so many schools, specifically public schools, and I'm a public school teacher, that we are putting all of our effort, all of our money, all of our professional development, all of our resources into the wrong things. Like, let me start from the beginning. When I first came into education, I was super naive, and I thought, oh wow, all these failing schools, they must just, they're just full of, they just must be full of old, washed up, burnt out teachers, and someone like me, someone who's young and passionate, is going to come in and fix everything. And I was obviously naive and very, very wrong. It wasn't until I joined the education force and the teaching profession that I realized that even in failing schools, you will find the most dedicated, passionate teachers of all levels of all years of experience, and veteran teachers, young teachers alike. And that is not the problem. There are bad teachers, but that is not why our schools are failing. The reason why our schools are failing is because we don't have what I would like to refer to as the educational trinity for success, I guess you could call it. Teacher, student, parents. In order to have success, you have to have all three of those aspects on point. Teacher has to do, as a teacher, we have to do our job. We have to do our job to the best of our ability. We have to, you know what that entails. We have to absolutely do our job. And of course, the student has to show up to school on time every day, ready to do their work, follow directions, listen, take their educational seriously. And then finally, the parents. The parents have to back us up. We are a team. Parent, student, teacher. The parents got to make sure the homework's getting done, papers are getting signed, students are getting to bed at a good time, getting to school on time. They need to be involved in their life. And all three things are not happening at all times. And you'll notice that probably your most successful students have parents at home that are doing what they need to do. And the case is simply that that's not going on in our failing schools. As teachers, we are being held accountable to the highest of standards every year. We've got our evaluations. We've got so much paperwork to do, professional development hours to log, you name it. The students are held accountable as well, their behavior, their academics. But where is the accountability for the parents? Where is it? There is none. There is zero accountability for the parents. We don't have a system in place where if your child misses so many days of school, or if your child is performing at a certain level, like we have systems in place as a school. Okay, your child is falling behind. We set up a meeting with the school psychologist. We set up a meeting with the principal, and all of us sit down, and then the parents don't show up. Or you send your kid to school without a folder, or their book bag, or their shoes are untied, or they haven't eaten breakfast. It's like, you got to be accountable for your own child's education. We've got to be accountable for our job, and your child has to be accountable for their work and their performance as well. All three things aren't being met, and that right there is a problem. Not professional development, not the curriculum, not underfunding. And yes, the schools are underfunded. Don't get me wrong. That is a serious issue. But the biggest issue, the most obvious issue that is not being addressed by politicians, by school board members, by administrators, by districts, by state. All three things need to be there, and we all have to work together, and it's just simply not happening. And I mean, I'm not saying that I have the answer, because I can control me, and I can I can try my best to instill that level of work ethic and excitement for school in a child, even if it's not there at home. I can get two things. Like I've done it in the past, and I am doing it now, where I don't have support from home, but I got the kid on board, and I'm obviously on board, and it can work. I can have success this year with that child, but who knows about the next year? Like, it can't be consistent unless the parent is involved as well. And it's just a sad state of affairs, like that. It's just so abundant that this is not happening in schools all across. This problem knows no economic level. It knows no certain race or ethnicity or region, rural or urban. It's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. And until it's addressed, until some sort of accountability is placed on parents, I don't think anything is going to change. We can spend millions of dollars on new curriculum, on teacher training. You can make it harder for us as teachers to become teachers. You can put us through the ringer. But at the end of the day, and unless all parents are on board and doing their job, it's not going to change. And here's a problem that I'm having specifically, is that as a kindergarten teacher, I am getting a large portion of my students. This is their first time stepping inside a school. This is their first time stepping around other kids. This is their first time hearing the word no. So I'm having to teach them that, you know what? Sometimes we got to do things that we don't want to do, and sometimes you're going to have to hear the word no. And you throwing a fit about hearing the word no isn't going to get me to just give you what you want. That's not how I do things. And, I'm sure this is a problem for other teachers in other grades as well, but there are certain social skills and certain life skills that I should not have to teach. And I will, because because it's necessary. But when I distinctly remember before going to kindergarten, like, my parents told me what school was for. They instilled in me, like, you gotta listen to the teacher. You're at school to learn. This is all part of the process. This is all so that you one day can go to college. Like, they built that into me. To be candid with you, I grew up poor. Like, when I was that age, we were on welfare. We were on food stamps. We were living in low-income housing. No excuses. Like, we weren't a rich, affluent family where mom and dad made sure, no. Like, my parents didn't go to college. They're just working class. But it was still expected of me to go to college one day. And I grew up with this philosophy from my parents. If you get in trouble at school, you're going to get in twice as much trouble at home. And let me tell you, that was 100% correct. I was scared into doing good in school. And I know that's it sounds controversial, but growing up, you need to be as a kid, you need to be held accountable. Look, you better not come, I better not get a phone call from the school about you acting up. That is not going to happen. And so when that did happen, it made my life miserable. My parents made my life absolutely miserable. I would get grounded from everything, any electronic device. I couldn't see my friends. It was miserable for me. It was so miserable that I wouldn't want to act up again. And then eventually, I started taking initiative on my own and seeing the value of education. But as a young child, right? So there has to be a certain level of accountability from parents on to child, but also from schools or some sort of legislation towards parents for a minimum standard. And I know, students being absent so many days, then there's like the Board of Truancy, and then Child Protective Services gets called and all that. I know there is that in place, but come on. Come on. You know what I'm talking about. If you're a teacher, you know what I'm talking about. I don't even need to say it, but this is just kind of a rant for me, but just kind of thinking about education as a whole and what is happening, all the changes that are taking place every year, year to year, and I see it with my own eyes. I see in my own school district all the things that we are doing because all the things that we are doing to try to bring our test scores up, because when we have poor test scores, the state is on our back, and that makes everybody anxious, and all these things that we're doing, and we're having some success, but it's not making a huge impact, and nobody's talking about the real issue that's underlying that. If this is not addressed, nothing's going to change. So I didn't mean for this to be negative. I just wanted to shed light and start a conversation. What are your guys' thoughts and opinions on this? I feel like there is equal part to play. Teacher, student, parent. There is a plethora of other things here at play, such as if you are in a situation where you are a parent that cannot work with your child at home because you are working 2 jobs, or you're a single mother and you can't, and you just kind of have to, you're giving everything you can just to keep food on the table and to keep a roof over your kid's head, and you cannot do anything at home. I get that, and I empathize with that, but that's not your fault. That's a whole nother issue about why you have to work that hard just to make ends meet. That's a whole other political issue. There's just so many other issues that all the little tiny things that we're doing, it's like we're trying to bail out a sinking boat with a little tiny thimble, and everything else that's affecting it is not being addressed. And the people that take the fall are us, the teachers and the administrators, and it's just not working. So just wanted to start the dialogue on this, you guys. Again, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Is there something that I missed? Thank you for listening to my rant. Now I've got a quick update, an announcement to make. This Sunday will be my first ever live stream. So I'm going to be live streaming on YouTube, hanging out with you guys. If you want to join up, you'll see it on my channel page. I will be live streaming, answering questions, talking everything from teaching, life, marriage, mental health, whatever you guys want to talk about, answering your questions live this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So plan accordingly. I can't wait to do this with you guys. I can't wait to hang out with you live, and I'll be streaming this again, 8 p.m. Eastern time, this Easter Sunday. Can't wait to see you guys there. Find your gift, share it with the world, and remember, you are worth it. See you tomorrow.